Welcome to Teamrocketgarage. Today I'm going to show you how the Volvo Power Steering setup works on a Foxbody Mustang. You can use this on a lot of different cars, but today I'm showing you on my 1979 Foxbody Mustang. Let's go. I built it! Oh. Hit the subscribe button! It's pretty dang simple. I've got a steering switch, and there's a 2-second delay. And now we've got power steering. And that's all right off the battery. So let me show you how this actually works. I'll leave the pump on just for now so you can kind of hear how loud it is. The pump is right behind this fender right here. Now I'm gonna turn it off so I can actually explain some stuff. There's a few things here in prep for this, but I'll give you the answers that you're looking for right away. Firstly, the Volvo steering pump works directly with the factory Foxbody lines. I used lines from AutoZone and I just asked them 1987 Ford Mustang GT. The lines worked perfect. No adapters, nothing required. That part, super easy. The part that actually was the hardest about this was making the bracket so that this could fit down here. And on your Mustang, there's gonna be a bunch of sheet metal there. So you're gonna figure out where you need to mount it. That was difficult. So there's the pump right there. This line right here is actually like heater hose and it's not ideal. This reservoir, I just got the cheapest thing from AutoZone that I could find. This I think is from like a Honda Odyssey. And then I just used heater hose, but this needs to be transmission rated line because this thing is decomposing. Now, looking down here at the pump itself, you've got two separate plugs. So you've got a power plug and then a controller plug. Now, the Volvo car actually controls this with the ECU. So there's 3 wires here. But there's one wire that triggers it on, and it's this gray wire here on the end. So you can see where the actual plug clip is, and it's just that gray wire on the side, the farthest one over here. If you give that 12 volts, it turns it on. So on top of that, you've got your power wire here. Now, these power lines are not supposed to be fused, because this pump just takes so much power. If you run it through a fuse, either the fuse will blow or the pump will suffer from bad performance. I know. You want to run a fuse. That is the right way to do it. However, you're not opposed to. Now, one thing I'm thinking of just while I'm explaining this is you might run like some sort of like 12 volt breaker or something right next to it, but I don't have that. And that's just the end of that. Everybody on the internet tried to run a fuse and then eventually didn't. Now, beyond that, that pump takes roughly 75 amps of power while it's running and while you're turning the wheel. So you want to make sure you have enough power for that. So make sure you have at least a 3G alternator upgrade. This is a 130 amp from a Mustang V6 from the junkyard. The whole swap was not a big deal. By the way, a link in the description, a how-to on how to actually make that swap happen. I did the swap on this car. I made the video on that truck. It's the same thing. So these both actually have interchangeable alternators now. So reason for that is this will tow this to the racetrack, and if one of them breaks, we can trade parts out. Actually, incredibly simple. Now, as far as bracketry goes, I just used the bracket from the Volvo. So this one actually came with the bracket, and then I welded on some supports there, as you can see. And then I clipped it or clamped it onto the frame rail for the Mustang. I really liked having those rubber isolators there. It keeps the noise, vibration, hardness down, you know. But yeah, I have this guy hanging up over here. It's just cable tied up, but this actually interferes with the return line. So you can see how the line comes there over to the pump, but then we've got a line that actually goes along the bottom over here and goes, see right there, into the cooler before it goes into the pump itself. So this actually comes out of here up through the cooler and then over to the pump and reservoir. So that actually feeds into the reservoir itself. This is actually just kind of like a reserve. So yeah, we've got Foxbody Mustang steering rack. I think this is actually an SN95 rack, but same thing. I think it's a different ratio. Over to the cooler, over to the pump, not a massive deal. You don't necessarily need to run a cooler. In fact, I don't know anybody else who has run a cooler. This has caused me just a little bit of like the steering's a little heavier. Maybe it feels like maybe the pump has trouble keeping up with that. So I am gonna do like a full flush on this and then give it another shot. I might actually remove the cooler itself. Kind of a cool theory, but yeah. So we'll just go ahead. Quick synopsis here. The Volvo steering pump, 87 Mustang lines, 87 to 95 Mustang steering rack, and a 2002 Honda Odyssey reservoir, just to kind of put it up there. Now, the most difficult thing here is this. Because of the belt routing here, you see this actually comes over and goes this way to go over there. In order to run like the water pump the correct direction, you have to have something that holds the belt over here. Now, there's a theory here. The Lincoln Town Car water pump is identical. However, the water pump spins the opposite direction. This is actually one of those. But the water pump on the 86 to 90 Lincoln Town Car, Crown Vic, and Grand Marquis, it spins the opposing direction. So if you were to find a pulley here that was grooved, right, something that you could use, you could actually do that the other direction and then get rid of maybe this. You'd have to figure out the tensioner thing. I don't know if this tensioner can go down. Maybe you can like rotate the tensioner down to hold this and then just have the belts over here with none of this mess, which actually would leave a ton of room for like reservoir or turbo or whatever you want. But yeah, I didn't do that. So pretty basic. Mustang rack, Mustang lines, Volvo pump, wire it with the power directly to the battery, and then you've got that trigger for that 3-wire that you can run on a switch, or you can just use it off of ignition. It has a 2-second delay, so when you turn the ignition on, you can start it up and then it'll turn that on after the car's started because of that delay. Otherwise, pretty basic. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have you done this on your Mustang? Have you thought about it, or did you do it on a different car? Let me know in the comments. If you like this type of video, hit subscribe. Thanks so much for watching.